Good evening. I'm Rachel Freeman, President of the Sexual Assault Center. On behalf of our dedicated staff, volunteers, and board members, I'd like to welcome you to this year's virtual Mad Hatter 2020. Tonight we are celebrating The Healing Starts Here at the Sexual Assault Center. The global pandemic has caused many changes in our lives, and unfortunately, safer at home is not always the case, especially during these historic, uncertain times. As we see a continued demand in the need for our services, our team of therapists, advocates, and educators are doing an incredible job of adapting and continuing to meet the needs of those who have been abused. So this year, we're keeping you safer at home by holding our annual fundraiser, Mad Hatter, virtually. I would like to thank our sponsors, our volunteers, and our live auction donors for your generous support, especially Cynthia and Dave Arnholt and Uniguest Holdings. And a special thanks to our incredible co-chairs, Kathy Dorr and Amanda Graff. We could not have done this without you. And now I'd like to welcome the host of this year's event, a longtime supporter of SAC, Tracy Cornett.
Hello, Miss Rachel. Tracy. It's so hard for me not to hug you, and it's hard for me to be the one being introduced by you. I usually get to do that part at these Mad Hatter events. I am so honored to be here with you all again this year. From the second I landed back here in Nashville, which was about 6 years ago now, and I heard about the Sexual Assault Center, I have been on fire for this organization ever since. I have served 2 board terms that I had to say goodbye and pass the baton on to another colleague of mine at News 4. But I am Tracy Cornett. I anchor the evening news here at Channel 4, and I am thrilled to be here with all of you. And I'm thrilled and honored and humbled to have been able to tell stories of what this place does in the lives of those who've been sexually assaulted, from children to adults. And I've gotten to be here in the wake of this whole Me Too movement. And I know it may turn off some people, but it's been amazing what it has done and how it has restructured organizations and empowered all humans in corporations. And I'm just thrilled to be a part of it. I want to give you some important statistics right now on sexual assault. Every 73 seconds, someone in America is sexually assaulted. 1 in 6 women will experience rape or attempted sexual assault at some point in their lifetime. 1 out of every 10 rape victims is a male. And you don't need to be ashamed if it's you. Just get the help, get through it, talk about it, because you're going to help so many others in the wake of your courage and hopefully your healing as a result of getting the treatment and help and counseling that you need. Over the past 5 years, we've averaged more than 2,200 hotline calls. That is so important every single, and I'm going to ask Rachel, every single month, or would that be every single year, the hotline? Every single year, okay? 2,200 calls. While the numbers are quite disturbing, the healing that begins here at SAC is so inspiring. We can't be together in our fancy dresses tonight over a nice dinner or live auction, but we can tell you a story about strength, perseverance, and healing that will hopefully encourage you to give a little more support here for this organization. Take a look.
Our world has dramatically changed since the beginning of 2020. Despite COVID-19, the Sexual Assault Center's waiting list continues to grow, and the demand for crisis services continues to increase. Your support fuels the fight to end sexual violence and provides a safe and nurturing environment to begin the healing process. Since opening in 1978, SAC has empowered more than 25,000 individuals to recover from sexual violence and assault. A place where clinical experts deliver specialized services to every victim, regardless of the ability to pay. SAC provides crisis intervention through individual and group therapy sessions to anyone who has recently experienced rape, sexual abuse, or finds themselves in crisis from past abuse. The SAFE Clinic is the first non-hospital facility in Nashville that provides free rape kit testing for anyone over 16 years old. Exams are conducted by nurses specially trained in caring for victims and collecting evidence for the prosecution of offenders. Dedicated advocates are on hand to support, empower, and represent the rights of each survivor. SAC is committed to preventing sexual abuse through community outreach and educational programming in Tennessee schools. Working with clinical therapists, local universities, public and private schools, SAC provides educational and prevention programs to as many students as possible, Nearly 200,000 elementary, middle, and high school students are learning about the impact of sexual assault in our communities and how to protect themselves and others. SAC values compassion, respect, empowerment, connectedness, and integrity. Their ability to serve begins with generous supporters like you. Whether you or someone you know or love has been affected by sexual violence, SAC is here to support their journey to recovery.
I know, because they were here for me.
What makes SAC such a special place are the dedicated staff who provide a full circle of care for our clients here. From initial intake and treatment to advocating for victims and counseling services, SAC is there to support individuals along their path to recovery. 2 years ago, a big deal here. SAC opened Nashville's first dedicated clinic providing free forensic medical exams, also known as a rape kit, for anyone age 16 or over. The center operates 24 hours a day, 7 days a week with incredible nurses who are specially trained in collecting forensic evidence. Let's hear from Pam Cruz now, the lead sexual assault nurse examiner at Nashville General Hospital. SAC partners with Nashville General Hospital's SANE team to provide exams in our SAFE clinic. This partnership with Nashville General is integral to the success and operations of the SAFE Clinic.
Yes, I'm Pam Cruz, and I am the managing nurse practitioner of the SAFE Clinic here at the Sexual Assault Center. I work with 6 or 7 other nurse practitioners to perform sexual assault exams. The SAFE Clinic is the entry point for a lot of victims. They may or may not be working with law enforcement at that point. So some of the first steps are when they come in, before they even see the nurse practitioner for their medical portion of their exam, is they're hooked up with an advocate who is able to talk to them about their options and to start them on the process of healing. Once we have done the exam, they are then hopefully linked up with a therapist and they choose to pursue therapy to aid them in their journey of healing. The clinic's been open just a little over 2 years, and we've seen 388 patients so far. Probably 90 to 95% of victims of sexual assault do not need emergency care. We wanted to do something for the victims of Nashville that would put them in a very calm environment. The clinic has a very specific design purpose. One of the things that you'll notice is that we painted the walls kind of a light bluish green, and that is a paint color that brings a sense of calmness. It's not a very busy clinic, and that adds to lessen anxiety for patients. We also, in each of our exam rooms, we have ceiling tiles that have leaves painted on them, and it serves as a distraction and something beautiful for the victims to look at. Every victim who comes in gets several labs drawn. All of those are processed at an outside hospital for us. We keep all of our kits secured. The national recommendation is to have collected kits behind 2 locked doors, and we accomplish that here by having it behind 4 locked doors. So security is paramount in protecting our victims, their anonymity, as well as the evidence that's collected. We serve as an expert witness should their case go to trial, and that means we're getting up on the witness stand, testifying to our findings, and helping to bolster their case. I like to support the victim in that way and help them get justice in our system. Everything that we do here for victims is free of charge to the victims, and we treat them prophylactically with medicines to prevent STDs and HIV. Those medicines are very expensive. For example, we send every victim out who desires HIV prophylactic treatment with a 3-day supply of HIV meds. The cost of those 3 days worth of medicine alone are more than $400. It's so important for us to have the financial support of our community. This clinic would not be possible without that support.
While serving on the board at SAC, we were charged with raising over $2.5 million to fund construction and operating costs. We had to do it quickly, and guess what? Because of generous donors like all of you out there, we were able to meet our goal then. And I know we're going to meet our goal tonight. Please text MH2020 to 615-235-5662 to show your support right now. And next, I'd like to share a few stories right now about the healing that takes place here every day. I'd like to introduce you to Elizabeth Anderson and her friend, Lou.
My name is Elizabeth Anderson. I specialize in trauma, but my niche specialty is working with kids and adolescents and families. Doing trauma work with kids is really different from doing trauma work with adults in many ways.
This is my secret weapon, Lulu Bell. She's a fat chihuahua.
I use her in so many ways, and I hate to say use her, but because she's like a mini therapist. She is a rescue dog. Lou and I found each other about 2 years ago. With Lou, I use her a lot in psychoeducation. As people get close to sharing some of the really horrific, hard parts of their story, Lou will put her feet up on the sofa to be picked up, and then we'll sit next to a client, and then they'll just start stroking her. But it enables them to share. And it's so hard because our wait list has been a challenge for us, and we're constantly trying to figure out ways to reduce the wait time. We have about 100 people on the wait list. I know 15 of those are children. There's a 4-year-old, a 5-year-old, and a 6-year-old who really need services. And I think as a therapist, that's the hardest part for me, is we don't have enough resources to provide the services that people need. I would love to see SAC get the resources to be able to hire more therapists who not only are passionate about working with kids, but have the training, because there are not many grown-ups. We don't do talk therapy. If you look at my office, it's filled with toys and expressive arts materials, and so the whole therapeutic approach requires different training. In my ideal world, no person would have to wait to receive services.
My name is Mariah. I'm a clinical therapist here, and I also serve as the Black Client Services Outreach. An outreach portion was created for not only Black Client Services, but also Hispanic Client Services and GSRM, which stands for Gender, Sexual, Romantic Minorities. Each of the populations, they deal with different barriers to services. So we know that historically African Americans have been disproportionately affected by sexual violence, discrimination, systematic racism. There's a mistrust for systems. There has been this stigma placed on getting the services. And so one of the things that we do is that we provide culturally relevant services to the population. We've done book clubs for Black women in the community, and it's just been a really great place for us to come together, find support, be spoken to in our language, and begin the healing process. The use of technology is at the forefront right now because of everything that's going on in the world, and we have actually had to transition from meeting in person to actually meeting our clients through Zoom. And so that has been a definite adjustment for not only the clients but the therapists as well. But I have found that it still works. It works really, really well, and I've just been very grateful, and so have my clients, to have the opportunity to still be able to meet. Your generous support would be so helpful. We would be able to expand our services. We would be able to host more book clubs and do more things out in the community, so your donations would be amazing.
My name is Eric Fogel, and I'm a clinical therapist here at the Sexual Assault Center. I have utilized animal-assisted therapy. I'm on my 4th therapy dog. The first dog was Dude, and he was a Shih Tzu. The second dog was Bubba, and he was a Labrador mix. The third dog was Keen, and he was a Great Dane mix. And then this one is Prince, and he's a Golden Retriever. From the very beginning, before the client even reaches the door of the office, I've talked to them about the dog. It helps me clarify what boundaries are expected for a client to be able to determine how they want the session to go with the dog. enables them to gain a sense of power and control. After having worked here so long, I have seen the benefits of people's generosity. We would not be able to do what we do without the donations and the generosity from the public and our funders and our board. They allow us the ability to provide the services that we are specialized to do. We are the only ones who do this in Middle Tennessee. And for the people who give us the money, allow us to provide free services, reduced fee services, as well as other things in the community.
Such powerful stories of healing and hope. We would like to once again thank our sponsors and all of our generous donors who have made this evening possible. The path to healing takes many turns, and SAC is there to support survivors and their families along this road to recovery. Now, we'd like to share a few more of those stories with you.
My work at SAC was rooted in the dynamic I co-created with my therapist. As I allowed myself to be fully seen, I became more intimately acquainted with my own power, gifts, creativity, and sense of being. Over time, and with steady, perceptive support, shame's restrictive grip began to loosen. My relationship with myself, others, and the cosmos grew more expansive as I opened to the infinite possibilities of my own becoming. My spirit took on a lightness more akin to my inner frequency as I felt into the whole of all I am. Because every aspect of me was welcomed by another, I had the grace to accept myself more fully. Those parts that had been banished, fragmented, and hidden were finally given the space to speak. Throughout my ongoing, deeply complex process, I have come to see that my traumatic history has no hold on the essence of me. No matter what happened in the past, my higher self remains wise, magnificent, transcendent.
My name is Chelsea Gilliland, and I'm a student at Belmont. The Sexual Assault Center has been incredibly helpful to me. I feel so fortunate every day that I was able to find them. You know, they say everything happens for a reason, and I feel like I met Elizabeth for a reason. Elizabeth is my therapist, and she honestly saved my life and has helped me work through trauma that I never realized I would be able to work through. And so for that, I feel incredibly grateful to her and to the Sexual Assault Center. Thank you so much for having me to play this song. It's called Spring Cleaning, and I wrote it about those people that kind of stick with you until things get hard and then they leave. So this is my song, Spring Cleaning.
Leaves were golden while we were falling, and I didn't see it as going down. You hated the snow, afraid of the cold, but the dark is inevitable. And as the seasons change, I fell asleep when the winter came around. The darkest of days were too hard for you to stand or stay awake, and I waited, but I knew that it was time to say goodbye, to call it quits, turn out the lights. It doesn't make it easier. I wish you weren't always on my mind. Snow's melted and I'm left all alone with plans we meant to do. And you say that you want me now. I figured out how to lie and say that days were too hard for you to stand or stay awake. And I waited, but I knew that it was time to say goodbye, to call it quits, turn out the lights. It doesn't make it easier. I wish you weren't always on my mind. Now I'm packing up, moving on, and I never thought that you would come back and say you need me, as if flowers could speak. I'm spring cleaning. Leaves are finally green again, and I think we're beyond immense.
Such inspiring stories of strength and perseverance, which happen every single day. And with your continued support, SAC will continue to provide such a critical service to Nashville and to communities all across Tennessee. The theme of this year's Mad Hatter event is "The Healing Starts Here." And as part of this year's event, SAC wanted to commemorate that statement in a very special way. You may have noticed here behind me. It is an honor to share with you our new mural and the story behind it.
I'm Alyssa Johnson, and I am the artist behind the Courtyard mural. When I first started thinking about the mural, a couple of words that stuck out to me were healing and peace, and that's something that I always find in nature, so I knew that I wanted to carry that element throughout the piece. Essentially, I wanted the mural to be an extension of what's already in the courtyard. It's beautiful here, there's flowers, there's plants. It is wild to me that I get to have art in a place that a lot of people come to for healing. I think art is probably one of the most healing things in my own life, so for me to be able to give that to someone else is really important to me. And just knowing that the work that the SAC does, that I get to be part of that in a really small way, it's really cool. And it's such an honor to be able to work on a project like this.
On behalf of everyone at SAC, we would like to once again thank all of our sponsors, our board, and our event volunteers. We'd especially like to thank Kathy Dorr and Amanda Graff for serving as our amazing co-chairs for this year's event, along with Katie Porterfield, Sandy Kinnett, and many others who served on committees this year. The actions of our volunteers are what make Mad Hatter a success year after year, and
really
this year is no exception.
Yeah, it is everything, and what a challenging year. Oh, you guys have done such a great job. And of course, it is your generous support that enables SAC to serve our community. Your generous support. So we do hope tonight has provided you with a better understanding of all the work that these folks do here at SAC, and most importantly, those we help along their path to recovery.
Thank you and good night.